Hey there, how's it going? It's Victoria here, and I help coaches, educators, and consultants attract and convert more clients on autopilot. But in this video, I'll be giving the best sales advice you've been ever probably given in your life. I know it's a big promise for you, but yeah, let me just get started and break it down, right? So, in today's call, I'll be kind of just actually breaking down what sales is and what are the sales principles, and basically then kind of explaining how what a good sales call would look like, right? So what is a good sales process or good sales call, right? So if I can just kind of answer the first question to you, what are the sales principles, right? So the main reason why really people buy, right? So actually it's a question for you. Why do you think people buy, right? The main reason of people buying anything, right? So usually the main reason people buy is because they're trying to avoid pain, right? So it's purely coming from pain avoidance, right? So they're trying to avoid pain. And I know that you probably read some psychology books, and they said that actually there's more modes of motivation, and there's different ways people can be motivated to do certain things, just like buying. But if you're really trying to achieve something, so you're kind of moving towards a desire, you're also escaping the pain, right? So if you want to simplify it, it's really just us avoiding pain. And it really explains why people buy anything, right? Right. So from a sandwich to a car to a laptop or computer or a microphone or a cup, to selling, to coaching, to consulting, to tutoring, and so on, right? Um, and I guess the bigger the pain. So the bigger the pain uh, people are trying to escape, the higher the price, right? Um, but of course, there's other things that could influence the price. Also, how fast you can achieve that goal, and so on, right? Um, but yeah, so basically, that's exactly why for this cup, for example, I could pay like what $2, but to actually get more revenue, for example, I could pay a marketing agency $10,000, right? Just because a marketing agency is helping me to achieve a bigger goal or kind of escape a bigger pain, right? So yeah, so I kind of actually answered you the first question. What are the sales principles? And the main sales principle is just pain avoidance, right? So we buy things because we want to avoid pain. And I have some notes here, so let me just look at them, right? So now let me kind of break it down the second part. So what is this good sales call or process, and how does it actually work that someone ends up buying from you, right? Whichever service you provide. So let me just kind of also have this block over here, or maybe there's yeah, it's okay, doesn't matter. Whoops. Okay, so and I'll actually just kind of move over here. Great. So this is a person, right? So imagine that you now step into the shoes of your prospects or your leads that you're reaching out, and now we're talking about their life, right? So this is your prospect, and this is your prospect, and they're currently in some sort of position, right? So they are currently at their, at their situation that they're at, right? So your prospect, they're in some sort of situation, and what happens is when you're actually doing sales is that you go out, and so imagine that this is like their environment, right? And you go out and you now send a message to them, right? So it means that you're providing some sort of stimulus into their lives. So here's your prospect, whether you're a health coach, whether you're education, some sort of education brand, and you're talking to parents, but there's this parent or there's this just person, a human, right? That they're chilling, they're living their lives, and they're enjoying their life. And then you come out and you kind of interrupt their daily lives, and you send an email or you send a DM, or they see your ad and they get a stimulus from you. So they see some sort of message from you, right, as they're scrolling, for example. What happens is that when they see your message that says, for example, I can help you achieve X outcome, and when it is relevant to them, what happens now then is that they kind of become aware of this. Let me just kind of make it a little smaller, right? So what happens is now that they become aware of, or maybe just move this over here. And what happens now is that they become, instead of being in the current situation that they are now, they become aware of a problem or opportunity, right? So they become aware of a problem, because maybe they even didn't know that have a problem of not scaling. So for example, if your ad says scale to 100,000 and they didn't know they could do it, now they're aware that they have a problem because they haven't scaled, or opportunity, right? So of a problem or a opportunity, which what does to them psychologically creates this agitation, right? So they become in this agitated kind of state, right? So this is what happens. Before, they were in a current state and they didn't have any message, but here you come in with some stimulus, and now they are becoming of this kind of agitation, as I mentioned. And what happens is that this person, right, starts to kind of think about things. And what do I mean by that? So there was your prospect. They were in the current state, right, that they were, and now there's your prospect, and when they become agitated, they become into this, they start thinking of a desired state, right? And what happens in between is that there's just like this awareness that things could be better, and that they don't have to be where they are forever, right? So when they become agitated and kind of understanding that there's opportunity of things being better, and they become aware that maybe I don't have to be stuck in the state that I am forever, and things could be better, right? And so what happens then is that basically here, as again, I want to explain that the blue state square represents their current state, the green one represents their desired state, right? And they have this awareness that things could be better. And now they replied to your message and they said, why not? I'm interested to hear more. Let's hop on a call, right? So what happens now is that now you have a call with them. So let me just maybe use yellow. You end the call, right? So now basically they're kind of waiting for this call to happen, and maybe checking out your website and so on, right? So this is this kind of new state, right? So now let's chat actually what happens during the call, right? So during the call, what happens is that, let me just actually name this just so you understand. So now they hop on a call with you, and during the call they were in this stage, right? There's this call happening, and let's kind of explore what happens during the call. So basically, during the call, as we're trying to kind of again ask them questions about their current state, where they want to achieve, and so on. So the actual goal of the call is to kind of start to separate their current state from the desired state. So basically what happens is that as we move, as we are progressing during the call and we're asking them questions, we're starting to separate them from their current state to their desired state, right? So again, the purpose of the call is to actually move the person, as we're asking them questions, from their current state and the desired state, right? And as you can see graphically as well, what happens is that we're basically separating, right? And after we separate them, they now have a clear understanding, because sometimes people may have goals or some sort of desires that they want to achieve, but they actually don't define them, right? So as we're asking them questions like, what is your current revenue? What is your goal revenue? What is the biggest challenge of achieve, you know, not allowing you to achieve that goal. And what we do is we actually clearly state that, so we have a clear understanding of where they are, and we have a clear understanding here as well of where they want to be, right? Because again, sometimes people don't actually quantify these things, and they just kind of have this feeling that they want to be somewhere that they're not, and they want to have more money and so on. And by the way, just to kind of put it here, that it's super important to quantify, right? So whether that be a number of clients or a number of revenue or a number of pounds that they're trying to lose, we really need to quantify, right? So it depends on your niche, of course, but you need to kind of understand what is the end goal that you're helping them to achieve. So if you're a health coach, then it's losing X amount of pounds. If you're a business coach, then maybe increasing their revenue by X amount of dollars and so on, right? So it's important to quantify. And as you can see, during the call, we create the separation, right? From their current state to their desired state. And as you can see, what happens here is that there's a, can I write something in here? Yes. You kind of create this a very clear, clearly defined situations, right? And what you'll start noticing the gap, right? And maybe during even the sales call, it kind of becomes a little bit awkward, because now you ask them all these hard questions, and they realize that, you know, they're not where they are. They're maybe like kind of a little bit failing, and it's kind of painful, right? It's not like we created the pain out of thin air. That it was already there. We just resurfaced it, right? And yeah, you can see that there's like very clear gap, right? And you need to understand that the gap equals the gap is the key to making the sale happen, right? And so what you need to do now is to present yourself as the closure of the gap. So if you are a health coach, this is what you say, you know, this is what I do. By the way, I've helped clients just like you cross that gap and achieve the amount of pounds that you want to weigh and make and feel good, and, you know, make your wife happy or whatever. And so again, you know, just to kind of explain, the goal of the sales is to define where they are, where they want to be in a quantifiable manner, and create this gap in their minds as well, right? And the gap is to making the sale happen, and this is where you present yourself as a vehicle or as a service or as a product to close that gap, right? And kind of I also want to explain that people, so you're kind of the bridging of these two states, right? And sometimes people come and tell me like, oh, I'm just getting shitty leads because I cannot close them, and it's so hard to close and so on. And I always tell them, okay, great, I mean, this is out of your control sometimes, but what is it that you can control, right? And what you can control is to separating those two and actually trying, kind of making sure that people understand that I'm just trying to say that if there's enough pain, people will do anything to not have that pain, right? So that, for example, if I'm in a really bad position and I really have some sort of desire that I want to achieve, I'll pay people anything. I'll pay, you know, my soul just to achieve the goal that I have in my mind, right? But again, we need to bring out enough pain or resurface enough pain so people can actually start taking action, right? Because there's not a lot of action takers in our world, right? So yeah, and the only reason people really don't buy is just because they retreat to their current state and they think that it's not that bad enough, right? It's okay, it's not that bad, right? I can live with it. So, you know, if you're thinking about it, the only reason people don't buy from you, because majority of them do have the funds to do it, is just because they kind of retreat to their current state and they say, you know, it's not that bad. I'm okay, you know? So yeah, I really hope that helped. And if you found it useful, you know, like and subscribe and comment. And also not just because it helps me, but also it can help you and your YouTube algorithm. And if you want, you know, if you're a coach, educator, or consultant and you want, you know, sales systems done for you, you can book a call with me below. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.